Them turned out lovely. Let me see what I call this fleece quickly. I've got the file here. I'll show you the file now. And in this file, I might keep all the samples of the suppliers together with the swatches and even things like twill tape. Because I don't know, but I can't always remember everything. So this file is great. Also the names of things like this knit elastic 38mm non-stretch corduroy. Those things I keep if I made stuff like the rayon, linen, that type of stuff. I keep this is my Rami linen that I use for my safari suits. Where I buy it, the composition is important for me because when you know these fleeces, when you sew these hoodies, for instance, if you make it, it's not so important for the client to know what the composition is, but like for my safari shirts, it's very important for me to make sure that I use, if I tell the client my safari shirts are made out of 70% cotton, 20% Rami or whatever, I put that in the label so that everybody knows what it's made of. Like viscose, this type of thing. So yeah, so here's a fleece. So it is a polar fleece. These are just samples of the yellow and the white, but this is the same. So it is basically a polar fleece. But this, even for the webbing, I sometimes I can't remember what it's called, and I just check my file and I see that it's called webbing. Yes, for the bonded fleece, the inside of the fleece and the outside, it's like two different, it looks like it's glued together. So dry mac, we used to make with dry mac. This is a plain coral fleece, a fluffy fleece. So there's all these things, fleecy text, for instance. Years ago, we used to make, when the economy was better, we used to make a lot of hoodies. And those hoodies were quality hoodies in the sense that they were pure cotton hoodies, and the fleece, the cotton was woven on one of those mills. So we used to order quite a lot from Fleecy Tex because they are one of the few, I would say, mills or manufacturers that still knit, do the knitting. So and that hoodies, the GSM weight of the fabric was also a high weight. Because it's knitted in a circular way like this, they sold it in pipes or kilograms, and then you just cut your stuff. So we used to order quite a bit from them, but now the economy is not doing well, so we don't get that many big orders anymore. And Miller Textiles also, I make use of them as well sometimes. In the future, I'm definitely going to make use of them for their Rami linen. But there are a lot of places in South Africa that are still buy. There's a textile show also coming up now in September. But the point that I want to make is it's good to keep a file like this, just for your different materials, so that you can actually. Sometimes I've got, I have to make certain things, and then like I said, you can't remember all the different types of material that you're using. I also have another file with a list of the fabrics, and in that file, I keep a list of the type of fabric and what you will make of what you can make with that fabric. Let me get the file and then I can show you that as well. Sorry, I'm still not totally healed from my flu. It's one of those things. Hopefully I'll be better within the next week or so. But I keep a file, a separate file for those things as well. For instance, in this file I've got all the threads that I'm using, the data sheets for the threads. I only use mainly Cerilon thread. I don't use any other thread except Gutermann sometimes. But yeah, it gives you the specifications of the threads. Here's the ones for the Schmetz needles. On my domestic machines, I only use this Schmetz, good quality needles. I only use that. But let me see where it is. Here's the textile. So I keep a list of the textiles as well, like Microactive, what you can make of it, Quantex, what you can do with it, cotton twill. Now these are all things that we've used. Mini mat, you can make shorts out of it, fleece, hoodies and pants. Trilobal, we've made jockeys before. You can make jockeys out of it. Bird's eye, you're doing shirts, sublimated shirts. You know, like the cycling shirts and the soccer shirts and that type of stuff. You can use, for instance, that. Triacetate for track suits. These are all polyester cloth that you can sublimate. So I keep a list like this. So when one of my clients wants to do something, then I've got a lot of other brands that I sometimes print for. And if they want a specific shirt or something, then I use this list to see what will use best or be best, sort of. That type of stuff. So it's important to keep these type of files. Then you can easily refer back to them and so on, because I don't, it's not, you know, you can't always remember all of this stuff. So yeah, so this is more important to keep these things. But I'm going to finish this now. The next step now is, before I close the inseam, I'm just going to do some top stitching here to let the seam lie flat. It will round the tracksuit off nicely on the back, on the side. And I'm going to, normally I would do the top stitching and let the seam lie to the front, to the back. But I'll see which one. This one prefers lying to the back. You can see this stitch, it naturally goes to the back, so I'll top stitch it there. Yeah, I'll do a top stitch obviously on the outside, but the seam naturally lies to the back, so then I will do it that way, just to round the tracksuit off a little bit. And then the only thing that needs to happen is to finish up on the inseam and then add the waistband and the seam at the bottom of the pants. And then I will be finished with this tracksuit. Yeah. So yeah, so that's it.